So, I would like to add to the Alchemical Elemental series that we got going on. Yesterday, we had a really awesome study session at the Travis Mages group. If you haven't checked out his channel, go ahead and check it out. It's rad for a high magic use. And anyway, we were talking about the archangels, and the archangels are associated with the elements. So I took my notes and I wanted to share my notes with you so then they can perhaps assist you in your own spell casting and manifestation and all this kind of stuff. So the elements. Hopefully you already looked into your own constitution and know which elements you're naturally drawn to and which ones you might need to incorporate a little bit more into your spell casting. The list I have behind me are the elements and specific rituals that you can use them for. So, without further ado, let's get started. First, let's start with water. Water is excellent for love. By the way, I have underlined certain words because they are kind of the power card of each element, okay? So love is the power card for water, okay? So water is an amazing element to evoke when going into love spells, fertility, nurturing, and connection, okay? Let's move on to fire. Fire, you would invoke fire to create more balance in your life, change, heal from physical disease, okay? Heal from physical disease, protection, friend or foe. What does that mean? If I'm trying to manifest a certain type of friend, right? I would invoke fire. If I am trying to have an effect on a foe or on an enemy, I would invoke fire. That's what that means. Fire's power card is power. If you want power or an up in status, fire is your element. And then last but not least, motivation and willpower, okay? If you want to learn something, but you cannot find the motivation to do it, right? Or the willpower or the drive, fire would be the element that you would invoke. Next we have air. Air is really amazing for travel. If you want to go somewhere, utilize the air element in your spellcasting. Inspiration. As we've talked about before, literary success, right? But air can even be broken down further and you can utilize it for inspiration, just in general. Healing of mental disease. So if you have a mental illness, depression, anxiety, PTSD, whatever, invoke the air element and it will assist you in healing the mental illness, okay? Now, this is actually a combination that I would use if I had a disease. What I would do is invoke air because most diseases are brought on by subconscious agreements that we make. So I would utilize the air element to balance out my perspective, to clear up my mind space, and then I would invoke fire to actually take care of the disease. So that's an example of a combination that you could use, okay? And then its power card is change in perspective, as we just talked about, right? So if I need to see something a different way, or I'm having trouble seeing through a situation because of maybe how I'm perceiving it, air would be the element that I would evoke in a ritual in order to get clarity on that. And then last but not least, earth. As we talked about before, earth is amazing for material things, right? But why? Because its power card is perception of the divine. So earth is an awesome element to invoke if you want to be able to perceive the divine, grace, love, light, in the very mundane of things. So you know how we were talking about manifestation, they'll say, get happy, be grateful for where you're at. but you just can't seem to be appreciative or find a reason to be appreciative of where you're at, invoking the earth element will allow you to see the beauty in everything, to be appreciative of it. It also assists in artistic ability, appearance, and coming from the perception of the divine, it's to touch heaven while on earth. So again, it's getting you in touch with the divine even in the most mundane situations. Fun fact, the very act of doing a ritual is invoking the earth element. Every time you set up your altar space, or you set up a space for a ritual, or you start to spell cast, you are invoking what is divine in mundane, tangible items and infusing them with that. That is the earth element. You are invoking earth. So maybe you feel like you've been lacking in the earth element, right? But you always do rituals to help yourself calm down. Well, guess what you're doing? A subconscious coping mechanism trying to balance out your elements by calling upon earth. Isn't that cool? So, anyway, this was a general breakdown of the elements and specific ways you can use them in rituals. I hope that this helped, and I hope this gives a little bit more clarity on how you can use the elements, and you might even have been able to see some things that you can pair and be like, oh yeah, okay, so let me pair this and this in order to get this result or whatever. So let me know in the comments below if you've been able to utilize these in any rituals and what your response was through invoking these elements. All right, many blessings on your journeys, and I'll see you next time.